Hello, it's Nathan. And in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the idea of the number one mindset tool that you need to help you when you're learning to read music, when you're learning to play music, if you're learning music theory, if you're a little bit stuck on a certain part of music theory you're not sure about, it's a bit confusing, you're overwhelmed, that kind of thing. So the number one mindset tool, I've spoken about this before on the channel, is the idea that it's all about interpreting instructions. Okay, so I'll say that again. It's all about interpreting instructions. Now, I can give you some verbal instructions. I can give you written instructions. I can give you a combination of both. Okay? But it doesn't change the fact at the end of the day, if you're learning to read music, it doesn't matter whether you're in the treble clef, bass clef, alto clef, tenor clef, doesn't matter. Whether you're playing guitar, whether you're playing bass guitar, whether you're a drummer, whether you're a vocalist, whether you play saxophone, harp, flute, trombone, clarinet, doesn't matter. Okay? Written music is instructions. And the process of learning how to read music is simply learning how to interpret the instructions on the piece of paper. Okay? Now, those instructions are written in several different ways. They're using numbers. They're using symbols. They're positioned, there are symbols positioned on lines and spaces, which we call the stave. Okay? And that tells us what notes to play. So if you're a guitar player or a bass player, I'll give you a few examples. Okay? If you are a guitar player or a bass guitar player and you're learning how to read music, if you're an electric guitar player, your acoustic/electric guitar, so six-stringed instrument, guitar music is written in the treble clef. Okay? If you're a bass guitar player, bass guitar music is written in the bass clef. And if you are a drummer, for example, your music is written in the percussion clef, which is a different clef altogether, but the same thing applies. It's just a set of instructions. So if you play an instrument which produces a pitch, which are the majority of instruments, then depending on what line or space the little circles or the rhythmic symbols are drawn in, that tells you what pitch you need to find on your instrument. And the symbol that is drawn on those lines and spaces tells you, or gives you the instruction, how many beats that you hold that pitch for. Okay, that's it in a general nutshell. If you're a drummer, depending on what line or space the circles are put on, refers to a different part of the drum set that the music requires you to play. So if it's in the third space from the bottom, that's often the snare drum. Okay, if it's in the first space, so the one right down the bottom, that's the kick drum. So if you see a standard drum pattern, kick, snare, that would be one dot in the first space, one dot in the third space. I'm going this way. First space, third space. Okay, you'd start to see it's a bit of a pattern. All of this said, everything I've just mentioned there is a set of instructions, and they are conveyed through written form, and that's what we call reading music. Okay? Now that's if we're looking at a melody line, or we're looking at a harmony line that needs to be played on an instrument, or a drum beat. Okay? So if you're a guitar player and a bass player, you are often going to be working with, more often than not, you're going to be working with chord symbols. So you're going to be looking at a roadmap for the piece of music. Okay, so you're going to be looking at bars of music which are divided up into sections, and we'll go through all this as we go. But you're going to be working with, as a guitar player. Let's take a guitar player for example. As a guitar player, if you're reading a chart, you're going to be reading one of two things. You're going to be reading chord symbols, which are usually a letter of the alphabet from A to G, and then there will be a number or several numbers after that letter. And there also may be a sharp and flat symbol in there as well. So it's a combination of letters, sharp and flat symbols, and numbers. So that's quite a lot of information to sort of wade through. And you think, oh, hang on, what's this? And, So that's probably where the confusion comes in. So I hear often a lot about, oh, I don't really, I read things and you just hear things from other musicians that have taken a little bit longer to get the theory up to speed, or they realize, they go, I was playing for so long and I wish I'd done this earlier. I've spoken to people that have picked up the guitar in their 40s and 50s and they can play really well. They can play really well by ear because that's what they've resorted to, because they, for whatever reason, they feel, oh, I just don't know about this music theory stuff. And part of me thinks that it because they haven't got the right attitude to it, or the right mindset for it. And to me, I've never, this is going to sound bragging, but it's the honest truth, I've never struggled with this. It's never been something that I've gone, hang on, what? Yeah. And even when I was in high school, when I was learning this, it just came naturally to me. Probably because I didn't have the, I was always a musical kid. I've been playing formally since I was 10. But obviously as a younger kid, there was videos of me banging instruments and, banging pot pans and seats and playing tennis racket and all that kind of thing. So it's sort of, it comes naturally to me, but I don't believe that it is one of those things that can't be learnt. And I think the biggest mindset hurdle is that it's just instructions. If you can have that attitude when you're reading a piece of music, even if you're not reading a piece of music, if you're in a band situation, okay, and you're playing a song and you need to stop because there's something that's not quite right. You might be playing in a bar band, or you might be playing in a wedding band or a cover band, or, whatever it is. And they sort of say, oh, hang on, let's go over that section again. Or, are you playing the right note there? Or, hopefully they won't be as blunt as that, but you never know. But at the same time, though, you're communicating with instructions. Okay, so if you're a vocalist and the band stops playing and you go, what's happened there? This is where music theory can help, because you can understand the language of the rhythm section, okay? And you can then relate that to your role, for example. So that's essentially the role of music theory in terms of learning it. Is these are just instructions, okay? So I wanted to also address something about without knowing music theory, it makes reading music hard and it makes learning music hard. And I kind of understand where that comes from. It's almost the equivalent of if you're a mechanic, right? This is just an example. If you're a mechanic and you weren't adept, or you didn't have a thorough understanding of every part of a motor vehicle. Now, obviously that would give you some challenges in your role as a mechanic, okay? Because people are coming to you to get you to fix their car. Okay, now, if you're a musician who can play well, but still struggles to understand the theory behind it, or what you're playing, and how it all fits in, and this puzzle piece, how it fits with this one, and how it all clicks in, and that kind of thing, then that's where theory is very helpful for you. So what I wanted to get across is, don't be fearful of it. Don't be scared of it. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's a foreign language. Oh, no, get that out of your head, okay? If you think it's a foreign language, then guess what? It is, okay? It's going to be a foreign language and you're going to be overwhelmed. But if you look at it through the attitude and the lens of it's just interpreting instructions. Now, those instructions can be verbal or written, okay? Verbal or written. That's pretty much what I wanted to get across today. And to say, it's easy for me to sit here and say, well, it's easy, okay? The reality is, it is quite straightforward. It's made a lot more complicated than it needs to be. And I don't think it's taught the correct way. All right, so if you take nothing from this video, again, I want you to look at the idea of its instructions. I'm being asked to complete a task, or interpret some instructions, execute some instructions. Okay, just like if you're coding, if you've ever done any coding, or you have any what's the word I'm looking for? Any sort of experience with computers or programming, you are programming the computer to execute a command. Okay, if X, then Y. Okay, if cell C2 greater than 100, then ... And the computer goes, it looks for that cell, cell 2, and then says, right, is this greater than 100 or not? Yes, it is. Okay, then it does whatever you've programmed it to do. Okay, so if you see the letter D written on a piece of sheet music, play a D. Okay, now whether that's a single note D or whether it's part of a chord symbol, that's where we start to look at the instructions in finer detail. Okay, but if we're not at the point where we can go, well, this is just instructions, that's all I'm being asked to do. Okay, then sure, it's overwhelming because you think, hang on, what do I need to do? What is all this? Hang on, what? I just play by ear, mate. I just play by ear. I don't worry about all that theory stuff. I just play by ear, man. You know, I've heard that so many times. And, the idea of, if I learn all this theory, then, my playing's going to suffer. And it's just ludicrous. It's ridiculous. But that's sort of the stuff that's getting flown around. So that's obviously the idea of this channel, is to try to counteract that and be like, well, no, it's actually quite simple when you look at it through the lens of interpreting instructions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the like and subscribe. You heard this a million times on every other video you watch, but it really helps the channel out, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.